Some of you might think that riding a motorcycle is all about speed, rebellion, and the open road and being out there on these two wheels. But let me tell you, for me, it's a spiritual practice. And today I'm going to share with you the real details about my own personal spiritual practice and what it means for me.
Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
All right, my friends, well, welcome to Hope, Healing, and Transformation. My name is Lisa Williams, and today I want to share with you something that fills my heart, brings me joy, and puts me on the open road. It is blending as one with my motorcycle, which I know some people might be going, oh, really, Lisa? And I know I look really pretty, and normally I'm this little biker chick. I'm really not. But I really want to share with you the spiritual side of being on the open road. I have just come back from Sturges. Sturges, if you want to know what that is, it is a motorcycle rally, and it was the 85th motorcycle rally. And I will tell you, what an experience. A lot of people look at, I guess, motorcycling, and they think the Hells Angels, they think all of these motorcycle clubs, they think the bad stuff. And I am here to tell you a couple of myths that I truly, truly believe in my whole many years of being a biker. I don't think I'm actually a true biker because according to my husband, I'm not. I ride a three-wheeled trike. And I also ride an Indian as well. So, but she's amazing. Sheila. My bike is called Sheila. Whole story, which we'll get into. Anyway, but I want you to imagine this. You have got this machine, this engine. It hums beneath you. The wind is blowing through your body, in your hair. It beats on your chest. It hits your face. The horizon, it's just stretched out like there's nothing else. And you also have this stream of bikers in front of you. It is in that moment. There is no past. There is no future. It is only in this moment, this second, this second, this moment, this energy. And in this moment, and in this energy, and in this breath, this is where I am. And the curves in the road show you how you have to flow through life. And I will tell you, I was watching this interview with Jamie Lee Curtis because she's got Freaky Friday coming out. And she talks about how she is where her feet is. And she also takes lots of pictures of her feet. And she can only be in this moment where her feet are. And it is about being present. And there's something really spiritual about being in this moment, because I will tell you, there are so many misconceptions about motorcycling. People think it's about speed or being a rebel or having a midlife crisis. But for me, it is about having this prayer, this meditation, this communion, which is far bigger than me. And today I'm going to actually take you on this ride with me. And I'm not going to talk about, obviously, what it's like to be at Sturges, but I'm going to talk to you about how my motorcycle and how being on the open road, and you've got to find your own toy for this, can be a teacher, it can be a guide, it can be your spiritual connection. There was a moment on my bike that there was silence. All I could hear was the wind. And of course, I listened to music because, sometimes music is what keeps me going. And I'm actually a little embarrassed. I'm just going to tell you, I am a little embarrassed about my playlist when I am pulling up and I've got people who, because, everybody hears everybody else's music, and I'm pulling up and there is my music. And it's these spiritual songs. It's like, oh my gosh. And I'm singing them at the top of my lungs and it's crazy. But I do feel slightly somewhat embarrassed because I'm not in this like real heavy metal or like rap or whatever. I'm in the spiritual space. And there was a moment that I completely lost myself. And I was riding and I was very present. I was really, really present. And there was this moment where I thought, wow, I'm at one with the universe, not the world, not the earth, but I was at one with the universe. And if we think, and I just want you to imagine this for a moment, I want you to imagine, take away all the external around you, like here I am with a microphone, a camera, my notes, and a computer and bits and a phone. Take away all the external. Take away the fact that I'm in my office. Take away the fact that, downstairs is a kitchen. Take all of this away. What I am is a person. I'm a being in the world. And when I'm a being in the world and I'm connected to the outside world and I go outside into, and I've got the sky around me and I've got the sun and I'm connected to the elements, there's something so bigger than me. And I'm at one with the universe. And anything that goes through my mind, actually, I can manifest. And I've done this on a motorcycle. Well, actually, I did it on a snowmobile. Let's talk about this. My disastrous snowmobile attempt. Really disastrous. As a biker, I know that you look in the direction that you need to go. If you're going around a curve, you look at the end of the curve and somehow magically the bike goes that way. Well, I kept looking at this tree and I kept thinking, I'm going to hit that tree. I'm going to hit that tree. I'm going to hit that tree. That tree was a while away from me. And guess what? I hit the tree. And that was my should I say sledding experience done. But anyway, the thing about being out into the universe, and when you are thinking thoughts out into the universe, it is bigger than you. Now, let's talk about being back on the bike. The thing about riding and the thing about that something needs your attention is you can't be half-assed with this. You have to pay attention. You can't scroll on your phone. You can't check your email. You can't drift off into, hey, what am I going to have for dinner? You have to be so present. And that bike demands your presence 100%. There is no question about it. Your breath is what syncs with the bike. And I'll tell you a secret. I remember being on a bike the day I found out I was pregnant with Charlie. And I was on this bike, and normally you could mold to the bike. And you would mold with the bike because your breath becomes part of the bike. You sync to the hum of the engine, the way that the engine moves, the way that the bike moves. And I couldn't mold with that bike. I felt off. And then within 4 hours of me coming off that bike, I found out I was pregnant. And so, and I never rode again until I was 42. But it's in that moment when you are riding, your eyes are scanning the road ahead and you're scanning for deer, you're scanning for bears, you're scanning for moose, which is where we were. Your body leans into the curve. But if it's for me, my body has to move the bike. My mind has to let go of everything but this moment. And this isn't exactly what meditation is, but it is really it's not the absence of thought. It is the full presence of being in the now. And if this is what I can share with you today, it is about being in the full presence of the now. And when you're out on the road, it gives me this sense of being mindful. It gives me the sense of being completely alive, because this ride has no space for you thinking about your worries and your past, because you can't even think about that. You have to be so present. And there are people who aren't present, because trust me, I met them and they were complete idiots. I would love to use a different language, but they were complete idiots. And there was one person that was going super, super, super fast. And all of a sudden, they started to wind in the most irritating space of me, and almost cut my husband off. And I'm glad my husband saw it. But you have that; those are the reasons why you have to be so present, because you do encounter boys, not necessarily boys and girls, little children in adult suits. I'm saying it nicely. But this meditation, I used to call it a meditation every single day, because I'm sitting on the road, I'm aware of it. And it first of all, my bike taught me a huge amount about trust. You have to trust your bike. You actually have to trust your skills on a bike, and you also have to trust the road ahead. Even if you can only see a few yards ahead of you, you have to trust it. And so this is similar to life. You know, we don't get to see the whole roadmap. That's the reason why people come to see psychics and mediums like me. They don't trust the roadmap ahead of them. They only know what's in front of them, and sometimes it's the bend. This is where we also have to look at where we're going, you know, because it's about trusting our intuition. Because there is something about this intuition that is so powerful. Okay. And so we have to recognize that this trust, we have to trust our pathway. And we have to trust that the road is going to be there. And we have to trust that the road is going to be smooth, without bumps, without animals, without people, without anything. But also when we're there, when we're on the road, it teaches us this, you know, impermanence of life. You know, we were riding, and it was beautiful sun. It was fantastic. The open sky, the sun was out. There was not a cloud in the sky. And then next we stopped. We stopped at this little town, and it was kind of cute. There was like this bluegrass band, and it was packed full of bikers. There was a barbecue going on. There was a bar. There was ice cream, which made me really happy. And then we looked, and we saw these bikers coming down like, oh, and you had these women with like bare arms, and they were freezing cold. And we went, oh, and then we saw the cloud. And we'd been there for probably about 40 minutes at that point. And Chris and I, we went and sat under this tent. And we went, I think we need to get out of the way. And we found a seat, and we sat down. And within maybe less than 5 minutes, we had torrential rain. And we got caught in the rain, and then it hailed. And I'm not just talking little tiny hails. I'm talking big ass hails like this. You know, they were marble size. It's the rain, it's the wind, it's the fog. We didn't encounter the fog, but the rain, oh my gosh. You learn to adapt. You learn to actually be in the moment. And being soaking wet, which we did on the first night, we got soaking wet. And I remember being on the bike at one point, and Chris and I, this was a couple of years ago, Chris and I, we found a laundrette. We found a laundromat. We call them laundrettes in the UK. And we had to literally take our clothes off, and we had to put them into the dryer. It was crazy. But we learned to adapt. Being wet, being irritable, being uncomfortable in your clothes, we learn to just ride it out. It's resilience. And it teaches you the art of letting go of your control, not in a careless way, but in complete responsibility. You you have to do everything you can to release the rest. I'm telling you, riding a bike for as long as I have has taught me the ultimate art of surrender. Because surrender, if you don't know anything about spirituality, everyone talks to you about, oh, you've got to surrender. Surrender. And honestly, people go, I don't know how to surrender. I'm actually going to say to you, I'm not saying ride a motorcycle, but go into a place where you have no control and the weather is in your may not be in your favor, then you have zero control of it. You can control what you're wearing and you can be prepared, but sometimes you're not prepared. So I'm telling you, there were days that there was one night we huddled under this like overpass, and there must have been about 50 bikes there. We all crammed underneath. We were talking, we were laughing, people were smoking, people were drinking, people were, sharing their water, sharing this, sharing that. And for me, it was really about community. And I think this is one of the things that I personally love about this community. Everyone needs community. You need community. I don't care who you are. And if you think that you don't need community, you absolutely do. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. And I'm telling you, my husband makes friends wherever he goes. We actually joke about it. We're like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom and, you'll introduce me to your new best friend, when I get back, because that is what he does. He just meets people. But being in this community is so powerful. And when I am in, let's say, a bar or I'm out traveling, one of the hardest things for me is when I'm traveling. And if I'm traveling and if I am standing there, if I see somebody with a Harley Davidson shirt on or a Indian shirt or something to do with motorcycling, I will strike up a conversation with them. And you know why? Because they make me feel safe. There is nothing a biker will not do for you. Some of you may have had bad experiences, but we can't stop having bad apples in a good pot. We can't stop that because there are going to be bad apples. But I have even had conversations with some Hell's Angels, and they have been the nicest and most spiritual people that you can meet. And in that moment, they have shown up with their soul, irrespective of what they choose to do outside of it. But in that moment, they have showed me their true soul and the fact that they also believe that there's something bigger out there. There were sadly fatalities. There always are at Sturges. There was fatalities, but it's in those fatalities, it shows you how precious life is. And there's something about this community. There was a woman that actually posted and said, I was supposed to be coming to Sturges with my husband, but my husband passed away, or my fiance passed away. I just want to get a t-shirt before X. I cannot tell you how many people responded on that post, and they were all saying, let me send it to you. Where do I send you a t-shirt? By that group of people, it is about community. They're admiring each other's bikes. I can't tell you, mine is a very pretty bike. All right, it gets a lot of attention. And everybody, it's about honoring who you are, and it doesn't matter how people are showing up. Yes, there are women scantily clad, as my grandmother would say, but it doesn't matter how you're showing up. It's the intent behind it. And I think when we're talking about trust, letting go, resilience, and surrender, then I could not find that more than being on a motorcycle. And yes, I lost my nerve. I went from a very, 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 very fast bike, and it was very fast. And I lost my nerve, and I went onto a trike. It was the best decision I did, because it actually, my fast bike took my enjoyment out of riding. Now, Sheila, my baby, which I'll make sure we put a picture in here of it, I will share with, she's just everything. Plus, ladies, I can pack a suitcase in her. Trust me, I have several changes of clothing. I can do everything in there. I have everything I need. But anyway, All right. So let's go back to this. When elements, being out in the element, being out in the elements is really important. It's part of our spiritual, it's part of being spiritual. Being out in the elements. I want to ask you, when was the last time that you spent more than an hour outside? Some of you may have done that. Some of you may do that a lot. And I absolutely think this is brilliant. But some of you, and I've got friends of mine who don't even go outside at all. And what we have been provided natural elements. We have been given the elements outside. And when you're on a bike, you are part of these elements. You notice the temperature shift. Boy, do you notice that temperature shift in that valley. My husband said, right, we're going through Spearfish. I know that I'm putting a sweatshirt on, a hoodie, I'm putting stuff on because I know I'm going to get cold. You smell the rain even before it comes. That warmth that comes on your body, the cool in the shade when you ride through the trees and in the canyon. You are naturally part of the world's natural rhythm, the earth's energy. And riding in the Black Hills, which is native land, it is like unbelievable. And you have all of these little shops with little crystals, and you've got bikers buying crystals. They are buying crystals from Dave's Crystal Place. You can't get it online. He doesn't have a website. You have to drive past these things. You stop, you have your whatever, and there it is. You have crystals. You know, being out in the elements is not different from when those pilgrims used to go on these pilgrimages and walk for days on end, seeking some sacred connection. Now, this is what people do. They go on a pilgrimage to Sturges. They go on this pilgrimage to Sturges, and what they do is they become one with the elements. The ride is like this conversation with the natural earth. It's with a conversation with spirit, with yourself. I am probably more spiritual in that space. I'll tell you, when I'm riding, I'll put an energy protection around Chris and I intentionally. I don't do that every single day, but I do when I'm riding. I set an intention with spirit. Today's going to be a great day, and I'm going to be safe. I set all of these intentions. I ride with care. I honor my ride. I often pat the tank of Sheila, and I pat her, and I'm like, thank you. I have so much gratitude on that ride, more than what I do when I'm actually in my own space. I mean, let's be honest, riding can be scary. And you may have had a bad experience. Listen, I've come off a bike before, but riding can be scary. You may have had bad experience with bikers. Every time you slide your leg over, well, I slide my leg. Sometimes you throw it over, but I like to slide and slide into my seat. But every time you put your leg over onto that seat, there's a risk. And this is why it's such a powerful, it forces you to get out of your comfort zone. It forces you to face your fears and to wake up and pay attention and to respect every single moment. And every mile that you ride and every corner that you take, every challenge that you face out there, it builds courage. And I'm going to say to you, if this is what you are struggling with right now, when we talk about I need courage, I need to live out my comfort zone, I need to create something so powerful, go and do it. Go and do it. Go and find something that pushes you out of your comfort zone, that gives you that right amount of fear, that makes you feel very present. Because I'm telling you, when you are facing something fearful, which you shouldn't think as riding as fearful, but there is an element of having risk. when you are facing it, you are absolutely having to be very, very present. And this is about having presence. This is about having presence and being aware. You know, you can't be a passenger on a bike and keep moving around. You've also got to be in that place of moving with the bike, the rhythm of the bike. You know, my friend came to Sturges with us. I promised her we were going through a healing retreat, and I lay with her and I said, right, let's go to Sturges, and we pinky sweared on it. And she turned up. And she faced some fears in that moment. She faced a lot. She didn't ride. She rode on the back with Chris. She she had a couple of rides with me, but mostly she rode with Chris, and she rode with Chris's friend. And when we were riding, I could watch them, and I actually sat and I was like, you've got to be present, and you've got to have trust in that person. And there's also a respect here, because she actually said to me, she's like, do you mind me riding with your husband? It's a very intimate space. Riding with someone is a very intimate space. And I said, thank you for asking, but I wouldn't have suggested it otherwise. I trust you. So there was another layer of trust in this whole experience. And when she was cold, she trusted Chris enough that she could hunker down behind his back and lay her head on his back. And then he grabbed her arms and he put her arms around his waist and said, here's my pockets, and put her hands in his pockets. That's trust. I want to ask you, when was the last time you had that amount of trust in somebody or something? Because if you haven't got it, that's about relying on someone. If you haven't got it, then who can you trust? You got to trust yourself first and foremost. First and foremost, you have to trust you. You have to trust your skills, your knowledge, your awareness, your presence, your language. If you're not trusting you, and if you're not showing up in the world as the person that you tell people you are, then you're living a lie. You know, I hesitated in sharing this, and for many reasons, because I know a lot of people out there have lost people on motorcycles. A lot of people out there have had bad experiences. A lot of people out there have been tainted by TV shows. But when you really understand the true heart of being in that space and being in that community, it is transformative. Transformative. I think the last time I read a statistic in Sturges was on the Wednesday, and there had been 241,000 vehicles going into Sturges, bearing in mind it's only bikes. And there was something like 400,000 at the last count, head count, people going into Sturges. That's a lot of people. Now, they may not see riding as a spiritual practice or in their own being present, but they all believe that there is some connection with the open road. And those people are very, very spiritual. There is a spiritual connection. There is a spiritual way. Riders, if you ever see riders do this, they put their arms out. You can't really see, I'm trying to do it on camera, but they put their arms out and they put two fingers down. That is a sign, that is a prayer to say, keep your two wheels down. I get emotional at that because it happens everywhere. And it doesn't happen in Sturges because you're constantly doing that. You're riding with one hand almost. And it's a given. But when you are riding on the open road, I want you to watch for that signal. Because that is, and it gets me, because that is a prayer that everybody does as a biker of keep your two wheels on the ground, get home safely. I lost a very dear friend to mine to a motorcycle accident last year, and it was one of Chris's best friends. and his name was Cowboy. And that guy could ride. I mean, there was not a machine that he could ride. And he died on a motorcycle. And we believe that there was some form of mishap because he rode down the central meridian and he came up the other way, and sadly he went into ongoing traffic. Don't ask me how it happened because or what happened, whether he had a heart problem, but there was definitely something. Anyway, in that moment I was riding around Sturges and I got into my head. I got into my head about it. And as I got into my head, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, and I wasn't riding right. I wasn't molding with the bike. I wasn't having the rhythm of the bike. And I got into my head and then I heard Cowboy. It's like I could feel him on the back. And I could feel him on my back. And he then started to say, right, look at the road. Look ahead of you. Do this, do that. And I went, okay. And that's all I needed. I just needed a pep talk of spirit. I communicate with spirit all the time. And so it is this connection. And as I said, I think I may have triggered some people because they may have lost people in their life due to a motorcycle accident. But I will tell you, it's never you. It's hardly ever you that's the idiot. It's the other people on the road. And that's what we have to be careful of. And in that moment, there's nothing we can do. We are completely surrendering. And you may have been affected by different motorcycle clubs or people who wear colors and they're the actual vests and they have badges and stuff, and that's so be it. And there was one MC that had 40 bikes. There was about 40 bikes that went out, and they were, what were they called? They were a religious group. I think Bikers of Christ or something. I can't remember what they were. And they all went out. And, and there's another thing. I don't think people realize how spiritual the biking community can be. There was a rally that was put on by the Hells Angels a couple of years ago that I went to. And what happened is it was up in Buffalo, and we all rode up, and then we went to bike blessing, and it was a Sunday morning, and it was a church, and somebody who was a pastor who rode, they did a church sort of like sermon. And then as we all rode off, our bikes were blessed with holy water, and they were splashing holy water onto our bikes. And I try and get to one of those every single year, and not many people realize it. So I hope I've kind of given you a different concept, a different idea, a different understanding of motorcycles. I want you to realize that when we're looking at our fear, and I want you to recognize this, when you're looking at your fear, it's your opportunity to wake up, to pay attention, to respect the moment, to be, as Jamie Lee Curtis says, be where your feet are. Not ahead, not behind you, but be where your feet are. Be every mile that I rode, every corner I took, I had this courage. And you can learn to feel that fear and do it anyway. There's a book on it. You can keep going even when your heart is pounding, even when you are uncertain about the weather. I mean, there were times I was really uncertain about the weather. Thank you very much, Harley. I bought a brand new, a new waterproof. But being out in the elements, trust, feeling my fear and finding courage to do it, using my intuition, using my discernment, finding community. Isn't all of this a spiritual path? Being vulnerable and having courage, isn't that spirituality? Having courage just to walk out into life or ride out into life, isn't that spirituality? Isn't finding freedom spiritual as well? All of this is a spiritual connection. So I would love you to just look at your life. Where are you not trusting? Where are you hiding because of your vulnerability? Where are you not finding freedom because of your fears? Why are you hiding from your fears? Why are you not stepping out? And why aren't you going outside to a place that has been given to you free of charge for you to recharge in that energy in the elements? Think about it. Spirituality doesn't mean you have to have a religion, doesn't mean you have to follow a certain practice. Spirituality comes from within. It comes from being present in the moment, trusting where you're at and trusting yourself. So I'm just going to share this. When I'm on a bike, the world strips down to its absolute essentials. The road, the wind, the hum of Sheila, the beat of my own heart, the ability to commune with the bike and be in that space and ride with that bike. It's not about transformation. Correction. It's not about transportation. It is about transformation. That transformation is huge. It's, for me, it's a moving meditation. It's this prayer. It's taught me that spirituality doesn't have to happen on my yoga mat or in a church or on a meditation cushion. Sometimes it is riding around a bend at 45, 50 miles an hour. Sometimes it is going down the road at 60 miles an hour or leaning into a curve and looking at the sun setting in front of you with the horizon pulling you forward. So here is my challenge to you. I want you to find your open road. What challenges you? What might be your two wheels? Is it your hiking boots? Is it your garden? Is it on the dance floor? Is it taking a walk? Is it swimming in nature? Is it going for a paddle on the river? What is it? Find that thing that makes you utterly present and fully alive and connect with it. Connect with something greater than yourself. Because in the end, the ride isn't just out there on the road. It's the one that we take within ourself. It's within ourself. It's right inside of us. And so allow yourself to be taken on the ride and be fully in control. But breathe through it, because there's going to be moments that can be scary. And breathe through it and just trust. So for me, I want to say thank you for listening. Ride with a helmet or not, depending on what your preference is. I always ride with a helmet. Have your heart open. And I'll always give you my biker prayer. Keep your two wheels down and get home safe. Never ride us faster than your angels can fly is another prayer that we say. And I will see you out there. But truly, I'm really grateful for being a biker, because it has shown me what true spirituality can be for me. I'll see you all again next time.
Do you feel a whisper in the back of your mind, like the truth is waiting, but it's hard to find? Well, maybe there's magic in the words she brings. Close your eyes and listen in. Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, The information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalised advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.